In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to do the alternator replacement on a 2017 Hyundai Elantra. This is the 2.0 non-turbo 4-cylinder, so should be pretty walk in the park. It's about an hour job of what it quotes for. Now, one thing I would recommend, if you're able to get a wrench that has a 17 millimeter, you are going to need to use the closed end of that. So if you can find anything, or maybe you could probably get a socket, but I highly doubt it. You're gonna have to do a wrench on that. And then once you use that wrench, you're just gonna leave the wrench lodged in the actual belt area for that until we're done servicing the alternator, because the tension is gonna bring back the actual belt and hit it against the mount. Maybe, I'm just assuming. So if you haven't already, give it a thumbs up, comment down below if you have any questions, and hit that subscribe button for more upcoming videos in the future. And we're going to go ahead and start this video right after the intro. All right, so first things first, we're going to go ahead and release the tension on the belt. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. First things first, we're going to go ahead and remove the negative, loosen up the 10 millimeter on the negative terminal on the battery, and before we start working on the actual car, so we don't fry anything in the computer system. Make sure that the key is not inside the vehicle, or that the ignition is not on the on position. So make sure everything is off inside, all the doors are closed before working and disconnecting the negative terminal. All right, again, 10 millimeter negative, lefty loosey. Just need to loosen it up just a little bit to where you can actually swing out the terminal. Now I'm just going to swing it down right here and just have it hang around. Make sure that this does not make any contact while you are working on the vehicle, because then you can short it out. If you wanted to, you can put a rag in between that, just like that. All right, so now let's go over here. So belt tensioner is going to be this little bracket that's right there, and then you see that little star thing that's kind of sticking out. So that is going to be the part where we need to get our actual wrench on. All right, so again, we're going to use our wrench. Now the one that I'm using, I got this from what was it, Harbor Freight, so it works out pretty well. Again, that's where it's on, and you're going to push towards the vehicle. Now when pushing it, make sure you have your hand open, so just in case if it slips, that you don't want to hurt yourself. And then we are just going to go ahead and slide the belt out just like that. So it still gives you room to remove the actual tool, so we'll be fine. We'll set that to the side. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to grab the belt. I got to pull a little resistance on it, so I'm just kind of pulling it so I can sneak it out. And then I'm going to set it right here under the actual pulley, and I'm just going to let it go down. So that's pretty much how I set it. And then obviously some slack, so we're just going to leave the belt. We're not going to replace the belt. Not worried about replacing that belt. All right, so next what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and take off our connector off the alternator. Yes, this is new. It has been replaced. It's remanufactured, and this thing is super expensive. Coming right here where this little tab is, we need to go ahead and pinch the wings. So there's a wing on the bottom and on the top, so we just need to get something where we can wedge in between. So you can use your pick or a flathead in that sense. So I'm just going to push up. I'm going to do it from the top just because of the way how my hand is. All right, and then let me just try to put this away. So I'm going to use an angled pick. So pretty much we're just going to go ahead and start from the top. As I'm pushing down on the clip, I'm just pushing up here, or I'm sorry, pulling back, and then I'm just wiggling back and forth. So as you can see right there, that's pretty much what I'm doing with this, is that I'm just pulling down the tab. But the customer worked on this earlier, but it looks like he just yanked it out and pulled it right back in. All right, so now we have our alternator bolt cover. So we have a little clip right here, just gonna push down on this little clip, And then we're gonna go ahead and take off that bolt. That's gonna be a 12 millimeter. No! Don't worry, it fell on the ground. Once you're done pulling that out, you'll go ahead and just swing this right over. We'll just set it off to the side. Then we got another 12 right here. That looks like a 14 right there, and then that's another 14 right over there. Oh, so for this one, you just only have to loosen up just a little bit, and then the alternator should slide right out. And from there, voila, there we have it. All right, so we're gonna still take off this 14, and then the other part is we're gonna go ahead and take off this 14, our idler pulley. All right, we'll get a little more force on that. God, man, what the heck? Superman put this bad boy on. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and transfer everything over to the new alternator. All right, so next you're gonna grab your new alternator, and we're just gonna put on the pulley right now. And then you are gonna be tightening this bolt anywhere from 29 foot-pounds to 36. That's gonna be your ratio. So anywhere from there. All right, so next we're gonna go ahead and slap on our alternator. But before we do that, make sure you put on your bolt. So you're just gonna slide on your bolt, and then we'll just thread it on just a little bit. We'll get it snugged, just like that. So we'll barely have it snugged. I think we're not gonna have an issue when pulling this out. Maybe, we'll find out. Obviously this is a remanufactured one. One hell of a remanufactured one too. Like $500 at the auto parts store. All right, so we're gonna insert the top one, so we'll just slide it in. Now obviously can't slide it in because our thing is compressed. Right, so since our thing is completely not fully aligned or a little bit closed and we can't get that inserted, so what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm actually gonna heat up just the casing part, just right here in that part. I'm gonna use my torch and I'm gonna be facing the heat away from it, away from the plastic part. So I'm gonna be doing this, and I'm just gonna heat it just enough so where I can actually hit out or extend the pressure washer. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because I've already broken alternator like that, just hitting it while it's cold. So I'd rather have it heat up, because once the aluminum expands, it'll be easier. Now be careful when working with this, because it will be pretty hot. So just keep in mind, just keep it away. And then once we get that, I'm gonna lay it on its side, and I'm gonna put my 14 millimeter bolt if you need to move the bolt just a little bit more. All right, and you see how easy that was? So we got that pushed out just more. And if you need to get a rag, you can get a rag to cool down this area. Obviously it's a little warm to touch, so it's not that hot, so we just got it warmed up enough. Again, the reason why I only heat these up is because just expand the aluminum part or the casing so we can push out the crush washer, because you can crack this whole piece and then that'll just make your life a living nightmare than what it already is. All right, so let's go ahead and try this again. All right, so see how much easier that slides in. So now we're gonna put on our bottom bolt first. We'll just get that threaded in before we tighten down anything. And then that 12 millimeter, you're going to be torquing it down anywhere from 15 to 20 foot-pounds. I would say 18 foot-pounds should be pretty ideal. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and tighten down our 14 mil. That's going to be from 22 foot-pounds to 30 foot-pounds. I would say about 25 should be pretty ideal. All right, so now that we got that torqued down, and then we're going to go ahead and put on our alternator charge bolt. This one's anywhere from 5 foot-pounds to 9 foot-pounds. I would say 6 foot-pounds should be pretty ideal on that. Also, these have little notches in the actual fin. So this has a little locking tab. Now, I'm gonna just make sure that's kind of pointed up. So it's gonna be right here on the little top piece. And we'll go ahead and tighten it down in that area. So you see how that little nipple sticks right out? Just make sure it's on top. All right, so now let's go ahead and connect our alternator tab. Now that we got that connected, we are gonna go ahead and put on our belt. So the belt itself, you're just gonna pull up, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my tool where the bracket is. And obviously I already showed that in the beginning, so I don't think I need to show it again. So as I'm lifting up, I'm gonna go ahead and put tension on the actual belt. So as I'm releasing the tension, I'm pulling on the belt so we don't have too much slack. And so then I'm gonna go ahead, do that, slide it right under the pulley, and then you are going to go ahead and inspect everything, and I'm going to show you how it should look like. So right here, the belt should look like this. That's correct. But right down below, you can actually see the belt that's hanging off the belt tensioner pulley. So you see that? That's actually incorrect. So you need to double check and make sure that's not like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and release the tension and slide the belt over the pulley. But for the most part, so it goes from the tensioner it slides right over the water pump, and it swings back right over the crank and comes right under the AC compressor, and then right up on top of the alternator, under the pulley, and then back at the belt tensioner. So let me go ahead and release the tension. So I'm going to slide my hand over here under the actual bracket. All right, that looks good. Looks promising. Just want to make sure everything's fine, because if not, your belt will shred right away in that section. All right, so we're looking good. So all right, so I'm pretty happy with that. Then we're gonna go ahead and put on this bolt, or I'm at the negative terminal. It might make a little tiny spark. Maybe you'll hear a little beep, perfectly normal. And then if you wanted to tighten down this, the torque spec's 5 foot-pounds. All right, or I just say tighten until you can't spin it down. Now let's go ahead and start the vehicle. Now since we're using a remanufactured starter, these guys do have a high chance of being defective, especially for Kias. So let's go ahead and start it. The alternator light should be off, which this one is. and we're gonna go ahead and test out our circuit. So let's go ahead and double check everything. When double checking everything, I always say let the car run for about a few minutes on that. Make sure everything looks nice, nothing's rattling on that part. And then you're gonna have a multimeter, and we're gonna switch this. So we're gonna switch it to 20 volts. We're gonna open up this little cap, and then it doesn't matter if the red's on the red, whatever, if the red's on the negative. It's just we're testing out voltage. So I'm gonna put one on the terminal, and then we are getting 13.5, which is really great, which is pretty ideal. It will charge up because the battery was a little bit discharged, so on that, but where it's actually at, I'm happy. And that's pretty much it. If this video helped you out, give it a thumbs up, comment down below if you have any questions, and hit that subscribe button for more upcoming videos in the future. And thanks for watching.